It's really fun to see so many people here tonight. Hi, my name is Magnus.
I'm Sophie.
I'm Krister.
We are product owners, but not. We don't own the entire product. For example, we don't create financial forecasts, and we don't collaborate with the end users as much as we like to. We are what we call ourselves here at Scania product leaders. Our managers gave us the privilege to prioritize and lead the product, and we are also responsible for the tactical roadmap. The product we are responsible for is SDP3, Scania Diagnose and Programmer 3. It's a tool and application that helps our mechanics to troubleshoot and maintain the electrical system in our products that we're doing here at Scania, such as industrial marine engines, trucks, buses and coaches. As you can see at the picture here, we got the demands from many different sources, such as legal demands, market demands, better usability, and so on. We began our agile journey with a coach who implemented the agile methods and drove several demands at the same time. I was at a part-time parental leave, and Krister and Sophie has not begun their employment yet. The demands flooded in. It was really hard to deal with the change requests and trouble reports. I ended my parental leave and Krister started. Our first mission was to try to get an overview over all incoming demands and list them into one backlog. 500 requests. No way, no chance in hell that we had the time to understand, prioritize and refine 500 requests. And new ones kept flooding in. So, we created a vision. What do we want our product to fulfill? Our coach, Lina, had an exercise with us and listed several criteria. Me and Krister's task was to prioritize and select top 5 criteria that we want our product to be. For example, reliability and control was 2 of them. After that, we started to close all change requests that didn't fulfill those criteria. It was about around 300. We got feedback from 3. Great, we decreased the backlog, but the joy was short-lived. Why? Because we weren't prepared when the sprint started, and we never got finished on time. The person who screamed highest got the things done. We still had some problem. What was the root cause? The demands kept coming. Also, our managers put some pressure on us. If you still want to work agile, we require predictability, commitment, and transparency. How can we deliver in time when you haven't any plans when working agile? We had to show them. Our situation was not good enough. Let's make a new start.
To be able to be predictable, transparent, and able to commit, we needed to stop gambling and instead make sure what we committed to for each sprint. Before, we knew which area we would work on and which issue that involved, but we did not spend enough time analyzing how big or complex the issue were. Basically, we took items from the top of the backlog and threw them at the development team. This was something that blew up in our faces once the developers start working with the issue. Often, the issue were bigger than expected and therefore took longer time, which means the plan didn't hold up. Or we were dependent on other departments or groups that wasn't able to work at the time, which meant the item was put on hold and also the plan was ruined. To avoid this, we needed to have a plan that we felt were predictable and reliable. It was very clear that if we should be able to commit, and we needed to understand how big the issue were and which group that was involved in the work. If the work during the sprint should be smooth, we needed to start refinement in time and a ready for sprint definition. The definition made it sure that we knew the scope and that the people that were going to work during the same time had planned for it. But still, you can't do all at once. And since we have limited people and hours, it is important to do the right thing. We had to prioritize. And since the group of us don't have frequent contact with a customer, we needed help for the organization to be able to do this the right way. Our old change requests were most aimed straight at the technical solutions, and what we needed was the value to make a right prioritization. We did it through introducing one-pagers, which focused on the value and the reason for the implementation more than the solution. This made it possible for us to start analyzing and discussing the main thing that would be given the value, and we were also able to break it down into steps or possibly even remove parts of it, since it wasn't useful after analyzing it. We started with the one-pager and we broke it into feature and user stories. This is the way that we all could agree on what the implementation would result in. Breaking it down was a great step in the right direction, but still we had problems that something that looked like an easy and small task could be way more bigger and complex. We needed to take the refinement one step further. And to understand how long time implementation would take, we were in the need to start to look into technical choices and design to also have the cost. And we started to do this, which meant we had tasks that we could actually time estimate. Even now, the developer has a very firm point. They will not start implementing on speculation. They demand that the issue have reached definition of ready for sprint definition.
Hey, and we had one third leg before summarizing. Is this transparency? It was a demand from our managers. We need to be transparent. They want to know what's going on. It was one of the main questions for the managers being agile. You don't know what's going on. And they have this need to know a task, where is it, when it's going to be ready. And we had to try to teach them how we explained it from now on. So we introduced this refinery, this model, where we show unprepared things, tasks, wishes at the bottom. At the top, we have clearly defined tasks and stories that is ready for sprint planning. The interesting stuff for us happens in the middle. It's where all the analysis is being made. We look through the values, implementation cost, impact on architecture, bring in the usability things. And some of the stuff, they don't survive. They fall off. So the strong and clear ones reach the top. So once a manager comes in and says, what's happening with my top priority issue? Why aren't you coding? Why aren't you implementing? Then we can tell them, well, we're not mature enough. We're still here. We are dependent on another group. They don't have persons there to do this right now. We are also seeing a big impact on our architecture. We need to solve them first before we end up here and can do something in the teams. Talking about managers, as we don't own the product ourselves, we work as product owners, but on manager's mandate. We have a big need for being in coordination with the managers. So we have this thing, every quarter we must synchronize with the managers to be able to work freely. So what we have done, that once a quarter, we bring them all into a small room where we have a lot of post-its, roughly 1 to 30, with our business epics, listed in, as we see them, our proposal on priority. And then we let them debate it. We stand back and listen to how they prioritize. We learn from what their arguments, what's important, other parts of the business we're not so aware of. We come up with a nice, fine priority. We also have roadmaps. Not everyone in Agile have this. It's for hard deadlines. We have trucks, engines, buses come off the production line. We need to support them. They're deadlines we can't miss. If they have a new feature, we must be able to troubleshoot it when it comes into the workshop. They end up very high on our priority list. Going back to the summary, one of the things we needed to do was to balance the efforts in the design teams. They had to spend more time doing refinement. We had a big debt there from before. We took this slide level down to maximum 20% for the teams, spending a lot of time in analyzing, less in coding. We had to filter the incoming flow of CRs before we just flooded in. We could filter it ourselves, but there's a bit of a danger in that we don't understand all parts of our business. So we pushed it back to the stakeholders and the different parts of our organization. They have to filter it. Don't show us 100 issues or demands. Show us your top 10, top 5, and debate the value of them as well. It's very important. With all this in place, a backlog in shape, incoming flow under control, we have well-defined tasks, control of dependencies. Let's try this one. Synchronized planning. So after the summer, we tried this out with the 5 units, 80 persons. Let's plan together. It went so-so. But what we learned, that the feedback loop was down from 12 weeks to 3 weeks doing it this way. We saved 9 weeks, even though it blew up in our face. We could adjust right away. It's the whole point of being agile. You can react, learn, adjust, and stay successful. That's what it.